Hello, welcome back to the channel. Can you believe this is episode number 5 of Is It Woke already? We've done this 5 times.
That's what she said.
I like that people disagree with me and not everybody agrees with me because I don't want sycophants. I want people to discuss things and come up with their own conclusions, maybe independent of what I think, which is great. Which brings us to our movie today. Oh man, this one, I didn't want to sit through it again, but you know what I did for you guys because I love you. So, without further ado, wait, what? You know what movie this is. It's Cat Pan Mediocre. Monkeys, roll the footage. This one hurt. Welcome to Is It Woke, episode 5, the Captain Marvel edition. I've been waiting a while to rip into this movie proper then, in this manner, so here we go. As we see, we'll start out, Captain Marvel is the lowest rated MCU movie at a 48%. Yes, it is lower than Thor: The Dark World, Iron Man 3. We can see the tomato meter. Top critics are at 63%. Audience score stays static at 48%. It's just not a good movie objectively, and I'm going to set that as a baseline.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
So without further ado, ladies and gents, I, Itepokuyan, am about to break down Captain Marvel and find out from my perspective and let you know, is it woke or is it just bad? Let's get into this movie. The first thing I'm going to complain about in this movie is the fact that they put this tribute to Stan Lee and all the great cameos at the beginning of Captain Marvel when it should have went at the beginning of Avengers Endgame, which was the biggest movie event of the MCU probably ever, but hey, you know what? Whatever. From the word go, we see the weak setup between Larson and Jude Law's character, which leads up to this line.
Want to fight?
And this is how these typical male-female apprentice, mentor, mentee relationships usually go. You know, the man is the mentor and, you know, the woman has to prove herself until she says, I don't need to prove myself to no man. And, you know, she ends up getting the better of him, of course, because you go girl, which is exactly what we get here during this training sequence with Jan Rog and Veers.
That's the enemy. Because that's what heroes do.
And then we get the wonky scene with Veers and the Supreme Intelligence where she's like, if you don't learn to control your powers, we can take them away from you. Very patriarchal, and it's like, just, you go, girl. Stunning and brave. Good job, movie. Good job. And then we're treated to this great piece of dialogue between Rambeau and Danvers on the runway because nothing says female empowerment like this.
About to show these boys how we do it. You ready?
Higher, further, faster, baby. That's right.
So the Skrulls have Danvers in a mind-reading device because they're trying to unlock something from her memory, and of course she eventually easily powers out, beats the living hell out of every Skrull on the ship with her hands bound until she blows the restraints off, and she eventually just frees herself because that's what heroes do.
I do not need a 40-year-old white dude to tell me what didn't work for him.
I mean, seriously, it was like Power Rangers beating up putties, how easily she blew through those restraints. It was funny, and they try to say she's not an OP Mary Sue. Ah, yes, and who can forget the memorable blockbuster scene where she shoots Arnold Schwarzenegger's head off, the cardboard cutout, and the blink and you'll miss it Kelly Sue DeConnick cameo. Ah, and there's this masterpiece of American cinema, the deleted scene between Cat Pan Mediocre and the biker, where she shows that feminist, I am woman, hear me roar power and crushes this man's hand because he asked her for a smile.
How about a smile from me, huh?
A smile?
Yeah.
You're going to give me your jacket, your helmet, and your motorcycle, and in return, I'm going to let you keep your hand. What, no smile?
I mean, if this doesn't scream woke female empowerment, I don't know what does.
Because that's what heroes do.
And then there's Nick Fury, who, through all intents and purposes, we've seen be a complete badass, especially in this sequence right here I'm picturing from The Winter Soldier, a movie which he also alluded to how he lost his eye, which Captain Marvel retconned and made it look like shit, and made Fury kind of a comedic punchline through a lot of this movie at the expense of Carol and Miss Rambeau, as well as her daughter. And who could forget the line in the car where she has to correct him about her race?
noble warrior heroes.
Oh, and the diner scene with the interrogation where she haphazardly blasts her photon ray right by Nick Fury's head just so she can show him how powerful she is, without considering his safety for 1 minute.
You get your bitch ass back in the kitchen and make me some pie.
Then we get to the point where Maria and Carol know the position of Mar-Vell's ship in orbit, except Talos doesn't. You know, he calls Maria young lady. She tells him she'll put his foot in his ass.
You're both pieces of shit. Yeah, I can prove it mathematically. Actually, let me grab my whiteboard.
Probably one of the most heavy-handed scenes in the entire movie is when Talos tells Captain Marvel on the Rambeau farm that the Skrulls are nothing but refugees, that the Kree have been hunting and killing and blaming all these atrocities on, because the Kree are the big baddies. They lied to Captain Marvel, and the Skrulls are just the poor refugees. This was almost a parody. It was so comedic how much it paralleled a certain political situation that was going on in 2019.
My people lived as refugees on Torfa, homeless, ever since we resisted Kree rule and they destroyed our...
This angle in the movie was done as a pure political statement. That's exactly what it was done. It was meant to mirror a situation going on in the U.S. or how it was perceived by some. So this was a far removed angle from the Skrulls in the comics, who are violent, angry, and just want to take over everything. But in the movie, they're just weak, displaced refugees who just want to go home. They want a home because the big bad Kree just keep picking on them. Fuck you, movie. And then we get the scene where she completely beats the hell out of all the Kree, set to the dulcet tones of Just a Girl by No Doubt. And what better placement for such a girl power song, right? Right here in this movie, at this moment.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
No, girl, this is a personal attack. You got no ass, and your training regimen was a joke for this movie. You tried to play up how hard you trained for this movie. Well, it doesn't show it. And then you said you did all your own stunts, so we're going to have to bust you on that.
What stunts?
I did my stunts because I thought that that's what everyone did. And then
What my stunts?
I did my stunts. I did my stunts.
Liar!
I have a question for you guys. Do you remember the original Guardians of the Galaxy movie? You remember Ronan the Accuser? Remember when he stood up to Thanos, took the Infinity Gem, slapped it in his hammer, tried to single-handedly destroy Xandar by himself and take over everything? Remember Ronan being a badass? Well, not in Captain Marvel.
Return to the jump point.
And how we got there was her going full-on glow stick at a rave, doing a few little cute spins, and plowing through damn near every ship in Ronan the Accuser's fleet. Yes, the Accusers were getting ready to attack Earth, and of course, she goes holdo maneuver and blows through one of his big capital ships, which apparently scared the bejesus out of him enough to surrender. Again, I can't stress this enough. Fuck you, movie. We've still got time for her to cuck Jan Rog out one more time as the Master squares off against the Apprentice.
Prove to me you can beat me without...
I have nothing to prove to you.
Oh yeah, and there's that scene at the end of Captain Marvel when Nick Fury is in his office at S.H.I.E.L.D. and he decides to look at the picture of Carol and name the Avengers Initiative after her. You know, not after the other guy that started the Avengers during World War II. You know, kids, because there's this guy named Steve Rogers, and, you know, his first movie, Captain America, was called The First Avenger. But, hey, what do I know, right?
Fuck me, right?
Can't talk about Captain Marvel without talking about the people who called me an incel, man-baby, misogynist, and worse in comment sections last year because I spoke out against how bad this movie was. Yes, these are the faces right here, folks. These look like normal, well-adjusted human beings, don't they? Yeah, it's hard to repel Stunning and Brave of that magnitude. I bet you most of those guys probably, well, they've never even seen a woman in person if chloroform isn't involved. But the marketing to this movie led it to be woke. But you know what? We're not going to talk about that right now. It's deliberation time. Let's get into it. All the factors from the movie taken into consideration. Well, is it woke or is it not woke, ladies and gentlemen? It is now time for me to reveal my decision. Oh, you guys are all waiting at the corner of Stunning and Brave Street, waiting for me to give you the verdict. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here it is. tune up the band because this baby was woke. Where's my horn? Sound my woke horn. The marketing was a huge factor in this, but let's sound the woke horn first.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
I considered all the factors when making my decision on this movie: the marketing, the actress herself, the lead up to it, and the delivery on screen. And yes, folks, this movie is woke. It's boring, bad garbage, but it's also woke. That's it for Is It Woke, episode number 5, the Captain Marvel edition. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you all for subscribing. I really appreciate it. Stay tuned because next week, Monday, there will be episode 6 of Is It Woke. I'm going to put a poll up in the group. Stay tuned at the end of the video for the information on where you can find our private Facebook group. And finding our Facebook group is important because if you find our group, you'll find the pinned post where you can vote on what is going to be the next episode of Is It Woke? What will I be dissecting? Let's take this thing home, shall we? Here's where you can find us all across social media at TV2BR on Instagram, the Place to Be Reviews page on Facebook, the official Place to Be Reviews fan page, that's our private group, at the Place to Be RE1, at N80 Pete on Twitter, past podcast available on Anchor, iTunes, and Spotify, and now the Place to Be Reviews on Discord. You can also email us if you're old-fashioned, okay boomer, at theplacetobereviews@mail.com, the world's best mail. Thank you very much. Also, on the way out, don't forget to bitch slap that like button. Do me that big solid, would ya? Yeah, I think you can do that. Also, hail the Fandom Menace. Hail to thee, my subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. Help us grow the channel. Hail the Fandom Collective, a group which we are proud members of now. We'll be working with them on a lot of collaborations in the near future. And I'd like to personally thank you all for joining the Place to Be Reviews. That's right, I'm Itepokuian of the Place to Be Reviews right here with all yous. Remember, if I don't see you, have a great day and a pleasant tomorrow.